All right, sixth graders, in the last lesson, we talked about how to divide a whole number into a decimal number. Okay, so just with the decimal point, you moved it straight up into the answer, right? And then divided it out using the regular division form. Today, we're going to have a decimal number as our divisor. All right? So we're going to be doing a little bit more dividing, but instead of just the dividend having a decimal, both numbers have a decimal. Okay? And so, Tyler? So, the first concept is this. When you think about division, you think about making piles of numbers. If you start with 16 and you make groups of 8, you get 2, right? Nod your head if you understand that.
Yeah.
If 16, you make groups of 8, you get 2. If you have 160 and you make piles of 80, groups of 80, you get how many? 2. 1600, if you start with 1600 and you make groups of 800, you get 2. What's the difference in these numbers? Bryce? They're all whole numbers, yep. But what about when you look at this pattern? What's the difference in these numbers and in these numbers? In the dividend and then in the divisor. What's the difference in those numbers? Abby? You add a 0, but really it's 10 times bigger. It's just 10 times bigger. But both numbers are 10 times bigger, right? If you take 16 and you multiply it by 10, you get 160, right? 16 times 10 is 160. Nod your head if you understand that. Yep. And 8 times 10 is, come on, people.
80.
Thank you. 8 times 10 is 80. So both numbers are 10 times bigger, right?
Yep.
10 times bigger, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, what if we have this problem? 1.6 divided by 0.8. That's also 2. Yes, it is. Because if you have 1.6 of something, and you make groups of 0.8, it's also 2. You can get 2 groups. If you have $1.60, which is what 1.6 is, $1.60, and you make piles of 80 cents, 8 tenths, you can make 2 piles, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference between these two numbers? So 16 compared to 1.6. Instead of being 10 times bigger, it's 10 times smaller. Both numbers are 10 times smaller. So in all these cases, we change both numbers, right? Yes, and that's what you'll do today. We're going to change both numbers when we do the division so that the divisor is always a whole number. Is the divisor the first or the second number? Is the divisor the first or the second number in a division problem? Zoe? It's always the second number when it's written that way. Is the divisor the first or the second number when it's written this way? Sorry, is the divisor inside the house or outside the house? Max?
Outside.
It's outside. This is the divisor when it's written this way. And so this number has to be a whole number when you're dividing. Okay? And so sometimes you're going to have to move the decimal point to make it a whole number. When you're moving the decimal point, you're really just making it 10 times bigger or 100 times bigger? All right? If we move the decimal point from 8 to make 800, then you'd have to move the decimal point from 16 to get what? 1600. Does it change the answer? Or is the answer the same? The answer is the same. The answer is the same, and that's why it works. Because we get the same answer. So, let's go to one like, let's go to one like this. 4.836 divided by 0.2. Okay? Write this down as an example in your notes. Now, the divisor is the second number, right? Everybody agree? Nod your head. Is the divisor the second number, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so we have to make this a whole number. Is it a whole number right now? We're going to have to move this decimal point to the back of the number. So simply take and draw an arrow, and then underneath it write 2. Or it's now 2.0. We just moved that decimal place over, or we made it 10 times bigger. Just like you did in your example. Going from 16 to 160 is 10 times bigger. Going from 8 to 80 is 10 times bigger. And as long as we do that to both numbers, class, you'll get the same answer, right? I showed you that pattern. It gets the same answer. But we have to do that same thing with the dividend. So rewrite this number with the decimal point in the new place. 48.36. Now, this is our new problem. Just like before, instead of doing 1.6 divided by 8, or sorry, 0.8, we can do 16 divided by 8 and get the same answer, right? Yep. And so we can do 48.36 divided by 2 and get the same answer. Why? Because you moved the decimal place over one place in both numbers. Ethan.
I'm like, why do you multiply like 4 and 836,000 times 1,000?
Yeah, you can. If you wanted to get rid of all the decimal points, yeah, you can do this. 48.36 divided by 200. Wait, 3 places. Yes, 200. So we can do that. That would be also a new problem. We'd simply be moving the decimal place over 2 more places. You can move the decimal place over as many places as you want, as long as you do the same thing to both numbers. Okay? You have to move the decimal place the same number of places in both numbers. Got it? And then you can divide. Let's go back and just divide by 2 rather than 200. All right? Just because it's less numbers to work with. So write the new problem this way. Write our new problem without the arrows the one we had before. Write the new problem this way. Okay. Then divide it out. Now, 2 goes into 4 2 times. 2 goes into 8 4 times. Now, you could go through all that, or you could just, whenever you're dividing something by 2, if you cut this number in half, you get the answer. You know that? Dividing by 2 is half of it. Right? So what's half of these numbers? 24.18. And sometimes that's easier to just figure out, wait a second. If dividing by 2, that's half of it. And if you can half it, then you can find the answer. Or you can do it this way. So we had 0, bring down the 3. 2 goes into 3 1 time. Remainder 1, bring down the 6. Oops. And goes in 8 times. Okay. How would we write this one? Rewrite that new problem. Rewrite that new problem without a decimal place in the divisor. Rewrite that new problem. Did everyone do that? Rewrite that new problem without a decimal place in the divisor. What is the new problem? What should the new problem be, Ariana?
35
What was it? You have to move the decimal point in both numbers, not just one number. So what would the new problem be? Well, if you move the decimal place over in this number and in this number, so that this is now a whole number, what would the new number, what would the new dividend be? Good, 354 7/500. So that's the first step on your worksheet, is to rewrite these with the new number. Okay? Like number 1, on divide with decimals. Number 1, divide with decimals. 5.91 divided by 0.2. On the line, you should write the new problem with a whole number divisor. So first, make this number a whole number. So draw that arrow. Everyone draw that arrow. And then draw an arrow in the dividend. And then write the new problem. Number 2. Write the, here's the problem. Move the decimal point over and write the new problem.
Because you already have one whole number.
But is this number the whole number? Remember, the second number is the divisor, and this is the one that has to be the whole number. So I mean, we're going to have to move this decimal point over. And 17 is a whole number, but we have to move the decimal point in 17 over. Since 17 is a whole number, the decimal point would be 17.0, right? We're going to have to add 2 zeros to that number to make it bigger. So instead of 17, we're going to have to make it 1700. By moving the decimal place over 2 places, this becomes 1700 divided by 17. Right?
Yep.
Any questions on moving the decimal point over? Then, underneath numbers 9 through 12 is the actual division you have to do. So in number 9, the first thing I want you to do is rewrite the problem. And show how you're moving the decimal point with arrows. And then rewrite it so that you can divide. Then, with the division, remember the decimal point goes straight up into the answer. Oh, it's 91.2, thank you. And so on. Okay? Do 9 through 12 that way. Do the division in the problem solving and finish that up. Okay?